Babes, I'm not gonna lie. I am tired. I am fatigued. I'm in pain. But we'll do it live. Fuck it. I had this whole plan on making this episode on my physical disabilities, and I had it all written out. I had like a whole checklist of all the things I was gonna talk about. And then this happened.
Hallo, welkom bij het stripboekhoekje van Elmer. Hierbij alle strips waarvan ik denk dat jij die gelezen moet hebben. Dan heb ik hier het boek Dit lichaam van ons. Dit is gemaakt door verschillende Nederlandse striptekenaars. Misschien ook Belgische, dat weet ik even niet. Het zijn allemaal queer verhalen. Een ode aan queer liefde, aan seks, aan fysicaliteit. Het is heel mooi en ontroerend. Ik lees niet zoveel Nederlandse strips, dus ik vond het geweldig om weer iets Nederlands te lezen.
This artist, Elmer, is one of my favorite performance slash writers slash theater makers. I adore their work, really. If you know me, you know that I love a good Elmer lyric. And now I know that they have for sure read my porn. I will reiterate, they have read my porn comic. For those who didn't know, yes, I make comics. And I was part of the Dit lichaam van ons. And this is gonna be confusing, but the Dit lichaam van ons is in Dutch. I was part of this project and I wrote 10 full pages of femboy fanfic where two femboys battle it out and then end up having sex with you. I can show you like a little preview. Here you have a femboy who's fallen over and is showing his butt. Not unlike how my butt looks in real life. And now I know for sure that Elmer the music artist has read this. I guess I can die happy now. I guess. I don't know. The tough part is I used to make a lot of comics, and I loved making comics, and I still love comics. This is a whole pile of comics that I'm gonna show you in a second. But I can't, for the life of me, figure out if I will be making comics in the way that I used to. And that makes me sad. That makes me so sad. I miss it. So, because this makes me sad, I thought, why the fuck not? Why the fuck not just go through comics that I have made in the past decade? And as we do this, I can also explain a little bit about why physical disability and chronic pain problems are a real bitch. Because they actually keep me from making more stuff like this. The comics that I used to make in high school, they're not in this pile. They're somewhere in my basement. They're somewhere out there on the internet. And that's okay. We're just gonna go through stuff from more recent times. Otherwise, this thing is gonna take hours and hours. What I do have to say though is like this stuff I'm about to show you is from over the span of years and years. I didn't just make this yesterday. It might look like that, but I am actually a very slow artist, even though I'm really, impatient, and I rush my stuff. I personally experience my art as a very slow process because I care about writing a lot. And it's not that other comic artists don't do this. It's more like this makes it that I almost put more emphasis on my writing than my art. And then sometimes the art gets the short end of the stick, and then it feels like, oh, I could have drawn that better. But, you know, I should give myself credit where credit's due. I do enjoy writing a lot. And I had that mostly with these comics that I made during art school. I had this whole project, You in Existence. I was 21, and I was gonna write basically my life's thesis on why we're here, what we're doing here. Very existential, very I'm 23 years old, and and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and I want there to be reason for what we're doing. And these are good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, You and the Cactus I wrote as a way of basically for myself trying to grapple with Buddhism, because I had just read like a Buddhist book, and this is basically a summary of some Buddhist principles explained by a cactus to a little guy who's dying out in the desert. And it's I don't know what 23-year-old me was on, but he was on to something. He wrote this script in some kind of fugue state while listening to ambient music, and it's so fucking good. Like, it's really fucking sad, and it's only a few, as you can see, it's only a very short zine that I have here physically. But it's great. It's great. It punches in the gut. It's revolves a lot of emotions, and at the time I wrote this, I showed it in class, and none of my fellow classmates were very interested in comics because they were all more like autonomous artists. But even the most stone cold hearted were like, damn, the guy dies at the end? That's kind of sad. I was like, yes! 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 Because if there is something that I love doing is evoking emotion, it's like a drug. I don't know. The same goes for performance art. I just want people to feel something, you know? And You and the Moon, objectively not as well written, but absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I can be really mean to my past self and go like, I mean, the text is not that well written, bro. Like, the typeface is something else. You should have really been more... You should have really written more readable text, especially because this is white on black. That's not easy. But look at these pages, though. Look at these pages, though. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Admittedly, I made this when I was having like half a year break from Art Academy, because I was just really interested in pursuing things with comics, and my arts and teacher's degree didn't really care, but I did. So these were really like me trying to find a crossroads between more like higher conceptual art and themes and comics. You know, like this was my trial at trying to write a graphic novel with deeper themes and things. Very sincere. And it might be on the nose, but I'm really glad he made that. I'm really glad he made that. At the same time, I was also writing this. Now this is just a cute thing. I was basically working on a webcomic for 2 years in a row where I just drew out really fast, really easy, quote unquote, really fast, really easy, no sketches. Like all the drawings you see here, where no sketches were made. I just drew on the page and went. And then really simple colors afterwards. And no hand lettering, almost no hand lettering involved. Because I just wanted to pump out comics. I just wanted to write stories. I just wanted to tell a story about a girl who is basically a psychic and who lives with these ghosts, and then starts to live with another ghost, and that one becomes her girlfriend. Easy premise. I had a lot of fun with it. The thing was, I had several burnouts. And I did get to a point where I was like, okay, we had 40 pages. There is some kind of ending to a volume 1. That's nice. At that point, I had accumulated like 2,000 followers on a webcomic platform who really adored this. Like, I cannot state you enough how happy it made me to read their comments every time I uploaded. It was so good. It was such a motivational thing. But at some point, when I was studying and I was in my 3rd year, I got a burnout, or I got really close to a burnout. And I also realized this is not paying me anything other than like nice words on the internet. It's helping me draw for sure, but I just can't keep up. And then the last page that I ever drew for this comic, I didn't even get to finish. But basically, I was already drawing a self-insertion of the character in the comic getting burnout symptoms, and I just couldn't even finish the page. And from there on, I just like stopped posting. And it makes me so sad, because this is a consistent thing. And not even for comics, to be honest. This is a consistent thing, I feel like, with me and my art, and trying to find a sustainable way to do it, and battling physical disability, which I wasn't even aware of at the time. But I get into these circles where I work myself up to like a certain point of success, and then in order to get a little higher or a little better, all I need to do is keep at it. All I need to do is keep going. But then for some reason, and the reason probably being me being way too hard on myself, I just can't seem to keep up, and I just crash and burn and throw the whole project in the trash and never look back at it. And the sad part is, this doesn't happen to just comics. This has also happened to me with drag. I was doing fairly well last year with my drag career, and I was doing fairly okay. It's just I worked myself into a corner by asking way too much of myself, mentally and physically, at the same time, and then just pretending like it was all fine and doable, and then crashing and burning. And now I don't enjoy it as much as I did anymore. And the same goes also for drawing, is that like making comics requires a lot of energy and time. And I have now officially gotten my fibromyalgia diagnosis, which means that I have a chronic pain problem regarding the pain that I experience in my body. It's not even actually like mostly a physical thing, it's also a neurological thing. It's like I experience every ache and every like little muscle pain as more extreme, which leads to fatigue and more tiredness, which I have had my entire life. I've been a very tired person. I've had chronic fatigue all my life. And that makes it all way harder to focus and to make things and to sit down and really, really go for it. And I envy, but also am so amazed by all my artist friends who actually like to draw and can sit at it for hours. But when I do that, I just sort of want to like grab my shoulders, click them out of my body, and throw them out of the window, because they're fucked. Simple as that. And it's not that I don't like drawing at all. I do feel like maybe I don't like it as much as some of my colleagues. It's more that this is easier. I have a lot of introverted comic artist friends who would never do what I do when it comes to stage presence, but to me this is just easier because it's shorter lived and I still get to tell a story. Because that's what it is at the end of the day. Like, I love the medium of comics. I love the medium of comics so much because there's so much you can do with it. But at the end of the day, I have huge muscle pains and I just want to be able to live my life. Now, that doesn't take away from the fact that I didn't make some awesome shit back in the day, for sure. Like, even though I'm stressed and traumatized, I can still make really cool stuff. Now we're just gonna go on with more comics. To be honest, over the years, I have not gotten that many paid opportunities, but the few paid opportunities that I got were pretty cool. Like this one, I have to say, is kind of like a nice bragging point. This is Rotterdam Stripstad by Sander Grip and Theo Seesing. Theo Seesing at the time was one of my bosses because I was a coordinator for the Cross Comics Festival in Rotterdam. And he saw my work and he was like, yeah, you know what? You can add a few pages. And it's always fun because this one is always in my local comic book store as I am from Rotterdam. And it's a really fun, like, bragging point if I take my dates to the comic book store because there's, like, a giant picture of me with an interview in it. But there's also some comics. These comics are made by my friends Sterk. And these are made by me about the housing crisis at that time. Now, if we're speaking about making comics professionally, I'm not very good at it. Mostly because I like to make comics that range from like very simple to very philosophical and personal and emotional. And if someone likes the emotional, personal work and is like, yeah, I want you to do something like that, chances are that it's going to take me blood, sweat, and tears to actually write about the subject. And that was the case for this because it was about the housing crisis. And I was without a home at the time. So it took me a few months to draw 4 pages because it hit me so hard. And this is also the thing, like, I find it really difficult to make something that is so dearly into my main craft. I have lots of friends who draw comics every day for money. But for me, it's like the writing is so important. And because I'm a very sensitive person, the writing is always really personal. And people tend to like that about my work. But when I get commissioned to do that on the fly, it's really fucking hard. I was like so mad about the actual topic of the housing crisis that I couldn't even bear to look at these pages at some point. But I did it. I finished them anyway. I also, during that time, and we're talking about Corona now, made The Chef. I tried to just finish something, and this I'm really proud. You know, like most of my projects, when I try to just finish something, it actually comes out quite good, even though the standards are always higher. To me, this is one of the best comics I've ever made. It's a short horror comic about an astronaut who is really good at gardening. So they're asked to do some terraforming, and everything goes wrong. And I'm not going to say more than that, because I have a fun little surprise. You can read almost all the comics that I showed just now. You can read them online for free on this address. I have uploaded PDFs of all of them over the years because I really want my friends to be able to read my work. And sure, you can donate, but since this is all like old work that I kind of also posted online before, I feel like I want people to read my stuff regardless of whether they want to pay for it or not. Because I so intimately crave to share the feelings that I write about with other people. And that's also the thing, is why at some point drag became more appealing to me than comics, because drag is such a immediate interaction with the audience. It's a very public art form. Whereas comics are very private. You almost never see people read your comic. And I do kind of think it's funny to put people on the spot and go like, so what did you think? Because most of the time, especially if you sell someone a Zine, you're not going to know what they thought about it. Unless you speak to them a week later. But still, most of the time you don't. And I just really want to share in the emotion of what my artwork is. And that also comes back to me realizing, like, I have to keep making stuff. Even if I have fibromyalgia, even if I am tired all the fucking time, even if I have a physical disability and a burnout because of that, I have to keep making, because that's what gives me energy and life force at the end of the day. Is like creating with friends and then knowing that other people have reveled in the emotional labor that I put into making my work. Did I say that right? And all I have to do to get more people to read it is to keep introducing it again and again. And that's, I guess, what I'm trying to do today. So hi, hello. I am Valentine Hamel. I'm a comic artist and a drag artist. And I'm currently not physically doing that great. And therefore, I can't really produce stuff at a very high volume. And I don't really have the energy to keep promoting myself. But if you read my things, and if you like my work, please tell me to keep up. Please tell me to keep going, because I need that. And I know I need it, but I need your reminders too. And at the same time, I also like so many other things, so it's also like the life of an artist is just as confusing as the many crafts that they enjoy. Last summer, when I was really in it, I made this little drawing to explain all the things that I really enjoy making. Look at how many fucking things that is. Like, I like theater making, but I also like world building, I like writing, and I like documenting, and I like paper making, and I like comics, and it doesn't end. And there's always new stuff. Like, now I also like making music, or mostly like writing lyrics and then performing said lyrics in drag or out of drag. It doesn't end. But I also just, think the medium of comics is so fucking cool. And if you're like, well, if you like it so much, can't you just give us some recommendations? I will, maybe in the next video. And I would also love to share with you like sketches that I've made for former comics that I've made, or ideas that I want to share about how I've made stuff. But I think for today, this is it. I'm also starting to get like a lot of ache in my back, so we have to round it up soon. I do want to leave with one thing though. It's like, The most active that I've been recently when it comes to making comics is for my local newspaper. I have this neighborhood newspaper over Matanese. It's literally just about my neighborhood. Like, and it only comes out 4 times a year. And I make the comics at the back. And very endearingly, last year, I started calling it Konijn met snor, or Bunny with mustache. And it's just really sweet because every time a new newspaper comes out, they specifically go like, we want your comics. We want you to draw the comics this time again. And I guess that makes me feel like I'm a very prized part of this community. It makes me feel special. I'm not gonna lie. It makes me feel really seen. And it just makes me happy. And I just wish making comics could be easy like that again. But a 4-panel comic about a bunny that shares food with his neighbors or complains about the warm weather is just much easier than making an entire book. And I can tell you, every comic artist dreams of making their own graphic novel at this point, but it's such hard work and it's so expensive. And I'm not gonna lie, I used to think like, oh, you know, it's not worth it, and I've seen other friends of mine do it, and it's, you know, but I was just projecting. Because I was scared. It's so much fucking work. You have to have so much internal drive to say like, okay, I'm gonna write a book now, even if you have a publisher. Because comics take so much time. And even shorter comics I haven't gotten around to. Like, I had a really cute idea for a follow-up comic from the femboy comics, because what I noticed is like the femboy porn was very centered about very thin bodies. So I wanted there to be a prequel where the main character sleeps with his butch roommate who is like fat and muscular. But I haven't even gotten around to that because it costs me so much energy. Even though I know people would love to read it. So that's where we're at right now with comics. Again, you can read all of them for free, pretty much. Except for maybe the femboy porn. I might put a paywall on that. And I wish that seeing my art out into the world be reacted to by one of my favorite artists would motivate me more to start making stuff again. But the fact is that I still have mental and physical, mostly physical, problems that stand in my way. And that sucks. But it is the reality that I need to face. So until I find some kind of way to work around that, until I find a way to really focus again without using my old coping mechanisms of stressing myself the fuck out, until then, you can read my old shit. But I promise, I will never stop making stuff. I hope you have fun reading my comics. And I hope we get to talk about more lighthearted stuff next time. Okay, bye!